channeling my inner motivator. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Lessons from the Road. My name is Olamide. I'm a travel entrepreneur and the founder of Hello Yellow Tours and Yellow Luxury Properties. For the past few years, I've been traveling within Africa and outside of Africa, building my businesses, making mistakes, learning, and I started this series because I feel like I've learned a lot on the road, and I'm just here to share everything. Well, at least some of the things that I've learned. So, yeah. So today I'm talking about survival mode, being in survival mode, as opposed to what I've now called being in creator mode or innovator mode as entrepreneurs, and specifically as African entrepreneurs. I know that this also affects entrepreneurs from other parts of the world, but this one is specifically talking to African entrepreneurs because I feel like our challenges are quite unique and needs to be addressed as such. Before I get into it, I'll just like to give you a brief background of my story and where I'm from. So I'm from Nigeria. I schooled in Nigeria. I actually went to medical school, studied medicine for 8 years. When I graduated from medical school, I just felt this pull to unearth other sides, other parts of myself that I didn't even know were there. So I'm talking about, I ventured into the arts. I started writing songs, composing music, started a social media company, just a bunch of things that I started doing. And it wasn't just that I was doing, it was almost at that point as if I just had to, I couldn't, it was literally God pushing me into those areas to do those things. And I couldn't explain them to anybody. I didn't even understand what was happening. I just knew that there was stuff to do every day and I didn't know how to explain the ideas, but I was executing them and I wasn't going that far, but I kept on doing it. And obviously this caused a rift of some sort within my family, between me and my family, because how I grew up, you were either one thing, right? You were a doctor, you were a lawyer, you were something. You weren't a doctor, but also an artist, but also a minister, but also a creative. It was just no explaining it. And so, there was just a time in my life where I just had to figure things out on my own because I was sort of cut off. And so this meant that there was a time in my life, for example, when I couldn't afford toothpaste. I couldn't afford toothpaste to brush my teeth. And I remember going to somebody who I thought was a friend and asking for a ridiculous amount of money just to be able to get by. And he said he didn't have it. And that was literally the first and the last time I ever asked anybody for money in my life. And I told myself I was never going to ask for money from anybody again. And unknown to me, that sort of triggered a survival mechanism of some sort in me. And it put me in fight or flight for a long time, and I didn't know. And the funny thing is how my travel business actually started is really quite funny because I was exhausted from all my hustling and all my trying to make things work. And I just thought, I just want to go to somewhere, just have a retreat, go to a beach or something and just relax there and forget about all these things. And I thought, well, why don't I bring people along? And maybe I can make money from that as well. So I said, okay, and I put it out. I'm going to the beach. I'm having a beach retreat. You can come. There's going to be yoga. There's going to be food. We're just going to relax for the night there and all that. And so a few people came. And, afterwards they gave feedback. Or somebody said I hadn't been able to sleep in a long time. I finally slept. Another person, my back pain felt better from the yoga. I said, great reviews. Why not? Let's go outside the country. Let's do this outside the country. So I said, okay, let's go to Seychelles. And that is literally how my travel business started. But keep in mind, I was now in full-time survival mode because now this business has started. I have to make it work. I have to fill up the tours. I have to make sure that I get as many sign-ups as possible. And so from that time, I just kept on running, trying to fill up slots, trying to sell, travel, and all that until 40 last year, my 40th birthday, when I just felt God saying, yeah, Emily, this can't continue. With 40, I already said that, I already said in a previous video that came with some health challenges and just was not sustainable physically to continue in flight or fight for a long time. I had to break that. I had to stop. If I wanted to see 50, I had to stop the hustler mode. And so now I stopped it, and then it was like, okay, so if I'm not hustling, if I'm not in fight or flight, then what am I? Who am I without the hustle? And that's when this idea of innovator mode came in. Innovator creator mode. And I began to realize that there's a mindset of the hustler and there's the mindset of the creator, and they are radically different. The mindset of the innovator is asking, what can I build for those coming ahead of me? What can I build for impact? What can I build for purpose? The innovator mindset is looking outwards. The hustler mode is looking inwards. It's saying, how can I pay my bills tomorrow? How can I make sure that I don't go out of business? How can I... it's always very short term in its planning and its thinking, while the innovator mode is more long term. It's building trees that it may never sit under. Do you understand? It's planning for purpose. It's planning. There's some legacy thinking there as well. And I just started thinking about it, and I realized that you cannot innovate truly from a scarcity hustler mindset. It's not possible. Not to say that you cannot build from a hustler mode. I mean, I did build my business from it. I'm not even going to lie. I built with a lot of energy and a lot of force. I built it. But there's only so much you can build in a hustler mode. There's only so much you can build. However, the thing about innovator mode is that it requires a certain sense of safety. It requires a certain level of buffering and protection. You cannot be worrying about what you're going to eat and what you're going to drink and where you're going to live and how you're going to pay rent and innovate as you should. Is hard. There's got to be a sense of safety. So the people who really change, who really create to change the world, who bring the life-changing ideas, have a certain level of safety. And so I began to think, so my world, this is where Africa comes in, and Africans and African innovators and African builders, because I think there's a problem here that needs to be named and addressed, and it has to be clear, because once we know what our problems are, then we can hopefully find solutions for them. Now, our world, as Africans, our world is not safe, right? And there's safety in different ways. There's environmental safety, there's financial safety, there's economic safety, right? There's a social safety. You can have safety in your relationships, safety in your family that just gives you space to want to fly and thrive just because of your environment and your community. There's all types of, but Africa, there's environmental destabilization, There is financial and economic destabilization. You don't even know if you're going to have electricity. You're worried about paying rent and your bills. Just very low level problems that all of your imagination, all of your mind, all of your thoughts are going to be focused on. So that you don't have mental space to think about the big things, to ask the big questions. And honestly, I feel that we have to call it what it is, so that if we're ever going to have a chance to deliver Africa from the darkness that it has found itself in, we need to be able to identify and name our problems and call it what it is. So again, the question is, if I don't feel safe, and I'm saying that I need a certain level of safety to have the imagination and mental space to ask the big question and solve the big problems, how do I find that safety for myself? Because I don't want to believe that we are condemned to darkness and survival mode because we don't have safety. So what is the solution? Now, using myself as your lab rat, I found 3 ways that I learned myself, that I'm using myself, and I want to share them with you. I hope you also find them helpful, and I hope you learn from them. The first way is travel. Travel has been one of the best ways that I have been able to switch from the hustler to the innovator. Why? Because travel exposes you to a different way of life, a different civilization, a different way that societies are operating and societies are working. And so you can actually have a different frame to build upon, apart from all the other, apart from the frame that you're used to. Okay, so travel. So I'm a nomad. Am I saying that African innovators and African founders should be nomads? This is a difficult take, but yes, I believe that you cannot afford to sit down in Africa to build for Africa. I also believe that you cannot build outside. You cannot build for Africa from outside Africa. You have to be in Africa. So what are you going to do? You have to come in and go out, come in and go out, come in and go out. You have to be a nomad. If you disagree with me, it is because you underestimate the power of environment, the power of community, the power of influence, and you still are not really reckoning with how that can shape your outputs, how what you see every day, what is around you every day, what you see every day can shape the outcome of your life. You can't be settled in one place. Maybe that's the burden we will bear as Africans, that we have to move. We have to be comfortable with movement in and out if we are going to deliver a greater Africa to our children. Okay. The second way that I have found very useful to switch from hustler to innovator is to watch the internet, to watch videos, to borrow from environments, borrow from cultures and civilizations that are doing what I think I want to do, that are living as I think I want to live, that are building as I think I want to build. And now that is so easy and that is so available. You can do that on the internet. You can watch videos, you can follow people, you can have mentors that don't even know about you, and just really study their lives. And some of them are so gracious enough to teach and to tell you how they are doing it, what they are doing, what they need to do. They call them knowledge merchants. Don't undervalue them. They are extremely valuable if you want to borrow that life, if you want to borrow that mindset, the way they are thinking, the way they are, you have to ask, what tools are they using, and is it accessible to me? What can I replicate of their lives? Is for me, that has been a game changer. Follow them, watch them, allow yourself, get really deep in there, learn from them. The third way that I have been able to I'm learning to switch from hustler to creator is to create islands of safety in my life. Just little spaces, little ways that I can communicate to my mind that I'm safe, and it is okay to dream. It's okay to innovate. It's okay to create. It's okay to plan. Little spaces, little routines here and there. For somebody, it could just be having enough savings so that you can afford to pause and begin to ask the big questions and attempt to solve the big problems. Having enough saved away, maybe cutting on some unnecessary spendings, managing your finances so that you can have space in your mind to think of the big questions. For another person, it might be taking maybe 4 hours of no screen time every day to work on your business as opposed to work in your business. You'll be surprised by how much doom scrolling is setting us back into hustler mode, because you are in there looking at what the other people are doing, and so you get up and you're running already without even thinking. So maybe 4 hours of just tell yourself no screen time for 4 hours every day as an entrepreneur, because I want to learn. The last way I would say I'm learning to switch from hustler to creator is to create these routines for myself. Sometimes just getting up in the morning and just choosing a spot, sitting down without my phone or anything, reading my Bible, reading a book, sipping some tea, or it just tells me that I'm safe. So you can do that. Find a spot and just in the morning, it tells you that you are loved by yourself. You love yourself anyway. Sit down and just think about your day, sip your coffee or your tea, read your Bible, read a book. Another way is to curate your workspace in a way that reminds you of the kind of life that you want to have, the kind of life that you're building. This is also kind of leveraging the power of visuals and colors, textures, pictures, to sort of train your mind and teach your mind that there are some possibilities that are not out of your reach, that are available to you, are possible to you. So yeah, there's so many others, but I have to go. Right now, this is a very difficult video for me to make because I'm still kind of in hustler mode, because right now there's a lot I have to do. I have to go to places, do things, but I'm trying to learn to do them from a place of abundance and rest, as opposed to a place of scarcity. And that's my journey. That's what I'm learning. I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you will come with me. So what about you? Are you a hustler or are you an innovator? If you're a hustler, I'll say good. I mean, I respect you. I see you. Great job. I respect the hustle. But I think we should try to move to this side if our continent is going to be delivered, and if our children are going to do better than we are doing. Okay, guys, thank you for watching this video. Comment, like, share, subscribe, do all the cool stuff. Bye.